Hello. This is my final reflection video for CI 454 on Google Tools. And today I'm going to be talking about what activities I enjoyed the most, why I enjoyed them, and some of the challenges that I faced during the completion of this course, and also how I'm going to implement Google Tools in my future classroom as a teacher. The activity that I enjoyed the most was Google Hangout. I loved how the class could meet up together and learn from each other even when we couldn't physically be together. Google has some amazingly creative features. They bring a lot of fun and collaboration to projects and group work, things like that. I especially liked how Google Hangout had the features of Draw, Scoot and Doodle, and Google Effects. I think those features were super silly and fun. I was able to put on some pretty creative hats and change the background during my hangout with my sister Megan, and I could see my future students having a blast with these fun add-ons in the future. I really enjoyed hanging out on Google with my classmates as well when we all met up for Google Hangout, because it allowed me to see all of my peers and hear what they were learning about in real time, which is great because it's an online course, so it's good to see everyone. There was a lot of opportunities for discussion and positive feedback, constructive criticism as well when we were all together. So it would be really neat to see what students at the elementary level would be able to do with this kind of activity. I know they'd really love the tool. They'd think it was a pretty fun activity for them to complete as well. I enjoyed this activity the most because it allowed me to personally communicate with my peers and not only learn from them, but also teach them a little bit about what I've been discovering as well. This activity that challenged me the most was the Google Tour Builder. I feel like it was just really new to me, and that it was difficult to maneuver at first due to inexperience, but after I got the hang of it, the features were super simple to work with. Also, it required a lot of planning and design that I didn't know prior to beginning the activity, so I learned a lot about how to adjust to difficulties that came up, and also how I would have to do some prep time with my students, definitely, if I were to use this kind of tool in my classroom. I really liked how creative and realistic this tool was. I know that if I were to use it in my future classroom, my students could create some really creative projects that were both textual and visual. So any type of learner would really be able to complete this activity and learn from it as well. But some of the challenges that I faced were just simple saving issues. I know that I frequently forgot to save my work, and that's probably more of a personal mistake on my end than anything about the Google Tour Builder, but that would definitely be something I'd have to constantly remind my students about just so their work is saved and ready to go for next time. Also, for the planning difficulties, I would just get a little confused as to what locations, what comments, what pictures I've used, etc. So I would definitely have my students create like a storyboard type of outline or concept map or something like that, maybe using Google Tools or a Google Doc. I ended up doing that on my own, and it kept me so much more organized, and I feel like that would be a great way to teach students organizational skills as well. So it would be kind of like a double punch kind of activity. Overall, I faced very little challenges using Google Tools. I was happy that Google was on the cloud so that I was able to work on my things that I've done no matter where I was at, whether I was at school, work, or home. So really the only small challenges I faced was getting my features to load, things like that, was mainly slow internet issues, and my computer's not very updated. It's pretty old, so sometimes Google would not always work as well, but I feel like with updated technology and the devices that are being used in schools today with one-on-one programs and things like that, it wouldn't be an issue at all. And also, I had some difficulties with Google Forms and Flutter right off the bat, but I feel like once I got the hang of those, it was simple formatting issues, and those can be solved quickly and easily by anyone that has a little bit of time to troubleshoot things like that. I see myself using Google Tools honestly about every day in my future classroom. I know that almost all schools use Google Tools and Forms to keep grade levels and PLC teams all together and informed. And I plan on writing all my documents and lesson plans using Google Docs, on whether it's the forms for grading or just Google Docs for writing, things like that, just so they're always accessible and they're automatically saved. Having my hard drive recently crash, I've noticed how important it is to have your work saved and ready to go for when people need it. And I know that with 25 unique students in my classroom, I'm going to have some pretty important documents that would need to be shared with professionals, things like that. So I want to keep myself organized and updated so that others can work as well and be as organized as I can as well. I also see my students using Google Tools almost every day in the classroom, whether it's to share, work with a group for a project, or create a story map or a concept map about the story we're reading, whether it's going to Google Institute during centers time or meeting on a Google Hangout on the weekends to try to get a project done last minute, or editing each other's papers over and revising over Google Docs, and having that collaborative aspect where I can be a part of the editing process as well, leaving my comments and being in connection with my students constantly over Google will definitely save me a lot of time as a future teacher. I think that all the Google tools that we used were collaborative. I think they were creative and they were fun. And I look forward to keeping myself and my students happy and organized using Google tools in the future.